XFL obviously had to suspend their season. Well, actually, they canceled their season because their season would have been ending in that first week of April timeframe anyways. And when I look back on the XFL and I think it was 5 weeks that they did get to play, I asked myself, man, how do I view their season? Success, failure, incomplete? I personally think that I'm going to view it as a success for a couple of reasons. First off, they stayed in the conversation for multiple weeks. We even talked about it, how it was times where we might not have had it as in like our main focus on a show that we're watching, but it's on like in the background. We're still like, oh, you're hearing about it, you're seeing about it and stuff like that. And when I look at what has transpired this week, it further validates why I believe it was a success. So as of this week, the NFL and the XFL both agreed that now XFL players can begin signing with NFL teams. Now with the AAF, we really didn't see that right away. In fact, I think we saw a couple of guys from the AAF actually make that move to the NFL after their season, essentially failed and went bankrupt and things like that. But with this XFL, it was unique in the sense that we've seen, as today, it's what, 2, 4, 6, 8, about 10 to 12 guys that have signed with various NFL teams this week. And for me, I was like, man, I thought to see how fast NFL teams jumped on these players that were available, I thought that was special. I thought that was dope. And I thought it was a good sign of faith for the XFL going into next season, because now for the guys that might have left college, like it was a cat from West Virginia had left college. His mom, I think his mom has cancer and he wanted to take care of her. So he went to the XFL. And he started getting paid, obviously. And now he's going to have that chance to jump to the NFL and actually be drafted, which is even cool. He's the first draft eligible player.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about now.
So, like, to see that move and the success that he had, along with these other guys that we're going to talk about in a little bit, I think that shows a lot of guys, collegiate athletes, and some of these fringe players in the NFL who might have been cut and had to sit out a year or two or whatever, right? Now they're going to see that, hey, this is an avenue that we can take and still hop on with some of these teams in the long run. So I definitely was, I was impressed by that. What you, man?
No, yeah. I mean, I would agree with you. I would say success just because it would have made it through the full season. Yeah. And I think, especially when the playoffs are, I think it was just 4 teams make the playoffs, and then there's, they have their championship. I'm sure that would have been even more hyped and more talked about event. Obviously, we didn't get to that. But yeah, for, what was it, 5 weeks they ended up playing? Yeah, it was solid, and they're going to have a next year, and that's something that more to be said than the AAF or the XFO in its first season. So I definitely think success. The 10 to 12 players, like you mentioned, making the league, that has to say something too. How many made it from the AAF?
From the AAF, initially, I think I saw about 5 or 6. I need to look back to see, like, as it progressed further into like training camp and the regular season, did anybody get picked up? But this is just the initial, because the way the contracts were set up for the XFL, you had the one DB, I forgot, I'm drawing a blank on his name, from West Virginia that left. He was the only draft eligible guy. So he was technically the only guy who was able to leave to get drafted. Everybody else, once you signed your contract, you had a 3-year agreement where you can't break that contract. And that was the difference with the XFL. So initially we had speculated that, hey, guys that aren't in the NFL could go to the XFL for a season and then hop back to the NFL. Well, that wasn't how their contracts were structured. But of recently, with the NFL and XFL agreed upon, was, since all this coronavirus thing happened and their season had to get cut short, that if any NFL teams wanted to sign those players, they would allow them to do that. Now, big shout out to the XFL too on this. They are still paying their guys their full salary, even with their season being canceled. And they were saying that a lot of the guys technically can't put pen to paper just yet, because they have to wait until April when their contract officially ends, so that way they can still receive their payment from the XFL. But they've already agreed upon these deals in principle with some of the teams. Obviously, the Steelers have agreed in principle with 3 of those players thus far. So I thought that was cool to see the XFL, a startup league, say that, hey, we're still going to honor your contracts even with all this going on right now. We're still going to make sure that you're paid and compensated the way you're supposed to be compensated, and going to allow you to get the opportunity to make that jump to the NFL.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do with this situation, and they kind of made the best of it, in my opinion, with everything that you said in terms of giving the players their money, letting them go to the league like that. Like that's all you can really do. And if you're gonna have a second year, then that's a good thing. Some continuity.
Well, and I also think too, man, a sense of comfort that you would get if you are considering going to the XFL, because you saw that, hey, they didn't have to honor these guys' contracts. They didn't have to pay these guys. But what did they do? They say, you know what? We're still going to stand by you guys. We're going to do right by y'all. And we're going to make sure that we compensate you guys through this situation. For me, I thought that was a huge vote of confidence. If I'm a player and I'm considering, hey, man, when I go to the XFL, man, are they going to do me kind of, I mean, because we talk about how in the NFL is so cutthroat, right? We see in the NFL multiple times, like a guy gets hurt or whatever may happen, they release him and it's cut and dry. They don't care. But right here, they're like, hey, man, we'll take care of you. We're going to make sure that you got some money in your pocket. We're not going to just leave you out there, you know, hung out to dry and stuff like that. So I definitely like that a lot.